I am Ben Willoughby alongside Jack Mason. Spencer Lawson was unable to make it this week, so Jack is going to be joining us as the guest picker and doing some guest analyzing. A lot in store for this week 11, and episode 2 of the Analysts is it's going to be a good one. We learned a lot from the committee in week 3 with the rankings, giving Mississippi State, Oregon hopping FSU.
That's an interesting one. In fact, I just don't know how you can jump a team that's not lost in 2 years. So,
well, after shaky performances against Virginia and Louisville, I can see it. And, obviously FSU at 3, TCU, the big surprise.
They leapfrogged
after jumping
Alabama.
Alabama, yes, and then obviously Bama at 5. Arizona State hit 6 after that key win at Notre Dame. My bad, it was in Tempe. And then Baylor at 7 and Ohio State at 8. And, I kind of agree with the rankings. 2 spots that, I kind of disagree with. I like where Arizona State is. I like where Ohio State is. I do not think Oregon has really proven themselves to be in that 2 spot.
And that's what I was trying to say.
And I like Bama in the 4 spot too.
I think Bama, that's a good 4-spot team, but they get, this week, it's their time to shine, and they better do it because they came out a physical game this week in the trenches versus Louisiana State University. They had a nice chant the 4th quarter for
that's why
the Bammers.
I think Mississippi State, Alabama, Arizona State, and Oregon do not need any help from the committee. Most likely, Oregon and Arizona State are going to get that matchup in Seattle in the Pac-12 title game. I think the winner of that game will go, and the loser obviously won't. Obviously, an elimination game at Bryant-Denny this week between the Bulldogs of Mississippi State and the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And it's really a battle of 2 quarterbacks when you think about it. Blake Sims, obviously really flying under the radar.
Very underrated quarterback. He does the little stuff right. He might miss a few passes, but you saw what he did in that last drive to get Alabama back in the game and set up a potential game-winning overtime.
People do not realize the value of the 2-minute quarterback. If you have a guy, under a minute that can take you down the field and get you in that position, get your kicker in position to tie the football game, take it out of the
with your best receiver dropping passes. So other guys stepped up and they did good. Now, what I want to talk about is how Oregon and FSU control their own destiny. Obviously, Oregon, strength schedule, not that much, can't help it. But FSU, same thing. They both control their destiny. But it's interesting to see how it'll play out with Bama, Mississippi State, and what TCU does in the Big 12.
I agree with you on Oregon. I think they're completely in control of their own destiny. Although, Florida State, I think if they went out, they are in. It's just a question of where. I think they could go all the way back to the 4th spot, even if they are an undefeated team.
I believe that
just
too.
Because of the weakness of the strength of schedule.
Who's their biggest competition so far? Clemson, they fumbled on the 4th quarter at the 20-yard line.
Yeah,
Notre Dame should have won, but got a penalty at the end.
And then you've got that, that scary game against Duke in the ACC title game,
All of these intangibles playing. Hold your seats. It's going to be a crazy ride, boys and girls.
TCU really, I think, blew everybody away last week after that
really
breathtaking win against Bill Schneider and K-State's team. I don't think anyone saw K-State getting depleted like they did, especially,
Trevon Boykin, he really took that game into his own terms, and he took it.
Moved up in the Heisman race a little with that game.
He did.
I want to talk about the Heisman hunt for a little bit, and Dak Prescott and Mariota. It's obviously a 2-way hunt. Mariota.
I think Mariota wins it this year.
He's obviously had some impressive games. This is Dak Prescott's chance. If he has any shot to win it, he's going to have a big game in Bryant-Denny. Walk out of there, still number 1 team in the nation.
Oh, one thing we forgot to mention was the number 3 team from Week 10. What happened with them, Ben?
Well, number 3. Are you talking about Oregon?
No, I'm talking about the Auburn Tigers.
Oh, the Auburn Tigers. I am glad you mentioned that because, by the way, the Aggies walked in there with a 41-38 defeat.
After going 2-3 in Week 10, Mr. Willoughby would like to give his predictions. So let's start off with LSU and Arkansas. Interesting matchup here.
It is interesting, Jack. And, LSU coming off a hard-fought OT battle against Alabama in Death Valley.
Which they did not pull through.
Which they did not. And I think they're really going to bounce back against a good Arkansas team. Brett Bielema's first SEC win is coming, but not this week.
It's a good choice. Okay, here we go. Big Ten battle. Ohio State, Minnesota.
JT Barrett and that Buckeye offense is humming right now. I'll tell you that. I mean, a great Mississippi State defense, so to speak.
He's got a good target, Devin White, that wide receiver. I mean,
he really does.
He really lit it up against Michigan State, so he's somebody to watch.
The ground game, Ohio State's ground game penetrates the play action. I got Ohio State big.
All right, very good choice. Florida State, Miami.
This is a game a bunch of people have really circled ever since the Louisville game, saying, "Oh, that's a spot they could potentially stumble."
No,
I don't see it.
Nah,
I got State.
I heavily agree. This is just the media trying to prop up an ACC battle. It's
Jameis
ACC.
Winston.
This is like 7A high school football.
Jameis Winston is carrying this team this week. Without him, they're a 500 team this year.
So another ACC battle. Clemson and Georgia Tech. Who do you have here?
This is a tough game, but in the end, I got Clemson. Joey, our cameraman over here, shaking his head. They're 5-0. He thinks he's something. I think Clemson's going to key well on the triple option, and they got their quarterback coming back. I think Clemson's spread's going to be a little much. I got Clemson.
Okay, very good. Okay, so bouncing off a very key loss to Texas A&M, 41-38. The Auburn Tigers go to Sanford Stadium, play the Georgia Bulldogs. Todd Gurley coming back. Who do you have?
Auburn is going to roll into Athens and get kicked right back out. I'll tell you right now, Todd Gurley's going to go for over 200. Chubb is going to go for over 100. I guarantee you they rush for over 300 yards. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Georgia is going to run it down their throats. Auburn's not have the secondary to match up with them off the play action. Auburn has got to pick their poison here because they can either, set up the coverage and they'll just run it down their throats all day. If they can key on the run, Conley and Mitchell are too much for them outside. I got Georgia. Easily. This isn't even a question for me.
All right. The game that everybody has circled right here. Alabama, Mississippi State, play-in game for the SEC championship for the West, and for potential college football playoff representative from the SEC.
I'm going to say one thing. Roll Tide. Bama. It's going to be too much in Bryant-Denny for Dak Prescott and that Mississippi State team. They have never been in this position at the number 1 ranking to where they have to play another top 5 team on the road. I'm telling you, this is going to be too much for Dak Prescott, Dan Mullen, and Mississippi State.
No one's going down.
And a close one. Close. That's it for me today, folks. I'm now going to turn it over to the 5-0 JC Film 17. I'll see you next week.
And me.
Like Ben said, I was 5-0 last week in predicting.
Really great picks.
Thanks, Jack. So Jack's here to predict something with me this week and hopefully keep my winning streak going. Jack, who you got for LSU Arkansas?
I think LSU, they're coming off a tough home loss. Very tough to very special and talented Alabama team. But, I got them bouncing back, 21-7. Just don't think Arkansas is ready, but they're up and coming. I'm telling you, Brett Bielema's doing great.
Yeah, I think Arkansas will be one of those SEC teams in the future to maybe leading the pack, but just not now. I think LSU comes out with a nice 14-3 win. My bad, guys. And who you got for Ohio State and Minnesota?
I think this is an interesting Big Ten battle. I think the media is trying to hype up Minnesota, but I just don't see it happen. I got JT Barrett and Devin White. They're just doing too much up there. So I got Ohio State 38-27.
I agree. I think this is a really overhyped and overrated game. So I have Ohio State winning 38-14.
All right, Joey, I got a question for you. Coming off a very big upset to a team that Alabama beat 59-0. How do you think Auburn bounced back against Georgia in Sanford Stadium?
I think Auburn's not going to bounce back, and
Todd Gurley coming back, free Gurley.
Yeah, I think Georgia is going to win with a score around 21-17, around that area. I don't think it's going to be too high scoring because they both have pretty good defenses, but with Georgia's offense firing on all cylinders and they got Gurley back, I just think it's going to be tough for Auburn after a tough home loss at Jordan-Hare last week. Embarrassing.
I agree with Joey on the Georgia with the W, but I just think that their defenses are just in a real fuzz right now. But I got Georgia. Gurley's going to come and have 250 yards. Nick Chubb's going to have your 50 yards, just kind of a two-back, keep Gurley fresh. 48-31.
Okay, now a quick little ACC matchup. Clemson and Georgia Tech.
This is an interesting game because two teams that are probably battling for, a high bowl right here. Both have 2 losses, I said. 3 losses.
Yeah.
So, I got Georgia Tech 24-21. Triple option's going to get Clemson a little off and confuse Dabo Sweeney.
I completely disagree with Ben. I think Clemson is overrated and Georgia Tech just has a way better team. They might even win the game against Georgia at the end of the season. It really depends on Todd Gurley and how well he is. But go Tech for this one, and
Yellow
I
Jackets,
think they will beat Clemson. So for the final game, which is game day, which is very deserving, number 5 Alabama and number 1 Mississippi State. Jack, game of the week, who you got?
This is a good game right here. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a very tough slugfest, but I got Alabama coming up, the W, 31-24. I just think that Alabama's defense will find a way to stop Dak Prescott and a very good back in Josh Robinson, but I just see
I agree. I agree. There's been a lot of talk from different, from real analysts saying that Alabama will win by double digits. I don't think, honestly, it'll come that easy, but I do think Alabama will end up with a victory. I think a score around 49-38. Okay. Final game, we forgot to mention this one. Kind of sad. Florida State versus Miami.
This is a relevant game. Media, they're just trying to hype up a couple ACC teams. Miami, not really good. Duke Johnson, pretty good back, but just Florida State. I just think that they have some motivation this time. In-state rival. So I got Florida State 31-7.
I don't really want to predict it, but Florida State, I think like 20-0. So thanks for watching this weekly episode. We can thank Jack Mason for a little prediction run, and we'll see you next week for week 12 and episode 3 of the Analyst.
Comment if you want me back.
Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see this guy again, and thanks for watching.
Have a great week.
Respect the 2.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.